The whole idea was, take your community, make it better, and preserve a part of its history, which you'll never be able to recreate again.
Joe and Jim Koncilja spent much of their youth in Pueblo, Colorado, scouring the antique and rummage stores which populate the historic district. Their mother collected antiques, and they were conditioned to find beauty and curiosity in everything old and vintage. Aside from the trinkets that seemed like treasures, they became totally fascinated by the buildings that housed the antiques.
We always had an affinity for historic Victorian buildings. We would admire the beautiful facades on these Victorian buildings, and we thought it was very sad that they were deteriorating, and we were hopeful that, at some point they could be restored.
In 1968, I made a trip with a bunch of buddies of mine to see two things: the brand new Cinderella City and the Larimer District Historic Area. And I came back, I was not impressed with Cinderella City, but I was totally impressed with what Dana Crawford had done in Larimer Square. And it was that trip that I made. And that really has been my lifelong passion, along with my brother, who was only 12 at the time. And I came back and said, you got to go to Larimer Square, because what Dana Crawford has done in Denver, we're going to do in Pueblo.
There was a time in the 70s when the Urban Renewal Authority in Pueblo had a plan that they were going to come down here and basically bulldoze all of these Victorian buildings and build modern structures.
I think what other business owners can learn from the Konciljas is that you have to invest in your community. In order for your community to be successful and to be vibrant and to grow, there takes an investment.
Finally, in 1979, when I passed the bar and I came back to Pueblo, I immediately bought a building in the historic district at 323 South Union, and I started to renovate for law office, which I did. Out of nowhere, a building that was in the process of being renovated across the street from that was in foreclosure, and the finance company came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in buying that building. And it was a beautiful building, I think the most beautiful building that I ever had. I bought that building by putting together 9 people in an investment group, and I continued the renovation of that building. On February 1st of 1983, that building was set on fire in an arson. My dream of doing a restaurant and a bar and everything in that building then was partially destroyed, and then 3 weeks later we had a terrible windstorm and it continued to demolish the rest of the building. Lo and behold, I received a phone call from a group of investors out of Atlanta, Georgia. I took them around Union Avenue and showed them the various buildings that were available. And they decided on 13 buildings they were interested in buying. And they did proceed to buy those buildings. And it was that fire and that windstorm which basically saved Union Avenue. As little that I knew at the time, but that's exactly what happened.
Within 3 years, the investment firm ran into the financial problems in the 1980s. The buildings were acquired by the Resolution Trust Corporation and sold. Jim and Joe Koncilja bought 5 of the buildings, the beginning of a new era. In the decades that followed, Joe and Jim would buy and renovate their current law office across from the Union Depot. While living in San Francisco, Joe had seen the fabulous law office of the celebrated, flamboyant trial attorney Melvin Belly.
Wasting my time, when you're through the case, you believe in it.
Really?
Yeah, you convince yourself on it. You work so hard on it.
Jim and Joe then bought 2 buildings on Victoria Street, which had little historical value, and turned them into adobe-like structures in a Santa Fe style. They put 100-foot Mexican portales on one of the buildings and added 5 fountains to the landscape grounds, which they both say created some of the best views on Union Avenue. They acquired 5 more buildings, which includes 20 apartment units on the upper floor and the commercial spaces on the main floor. In 2001, their lifelong dream of acquiring the Pueblo Union Depot was realized. In addition to major renovations, including 13 apartments, Joe's wife Tallie took over management of the Union Depot, the venue, the offices, and the apartments.
I was very fortunate that when they purchased the depot in 2001, they involved me in the management of the depot. And that, of course, somewhat changed everything in my life. At that point, I really didn't do that much at the beginning. I do a little bit more now. I actually involved with the residential and the commercial leasing.
She then took over a restaurant in the law office building and made it successful. She also did all of the baking for the restaurant. Each year, the Konciljas spent approximately $25,000 for the flowers and their care, and you rarely see a promotional picture of Pueblo that doesn't include the flowers and the landscaping.
Well, I'm not exactly as involved as my husband wanted to say I'm involved. I do plant one particular planter across the street at the depot, but I have a wonderful maintenance man that maintains the buildings, and he waters the flowers every day. You know, and again, my husband gives me way more credit than I deserve. I was the stay-at-home mom. I was taking care of the children, and he was the one here making the money, buying the properties, and honestly, he's starting a legacy for the kids.
November 1st of 2008 was a very important day for Jim and I.
Well, Pueblo, I can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. I need you to make it happen.
Barack Obama's last campaign stop in the United States was to Pueblo. Pueblo had changed from 1979, when I bought my first building, to 2008, less than 30 years, to a vibrant area where the President of the United States held a rally. And that was the largest political rally in the history of Pueblo.
This is one of those moments, Pueblo. This is one of those times we can't afford to let slip away.
Yeah, I mean, it was electrifying to have Obama here. It was such a large group. It was so cohesive.
Now is not the time for small plans. It's going to require a renewed sense of responsibility from each of us.
And it was literally a sea of people for 3 blocks.
I need you to make it happen.
And that's a day that's obviously we're going to remember forever.
In 2015, Joe and Tallie's son Joseph came back from California and started a development company called Unique Urban Development with the purpose of rehabilitating residential properties in Pueblo's core neighborhoods. Joe Jr. would be joined by his brothers George, Bobby, and Teddy. In the next 5 years, they would totally rehabilitate over 50 residential properties designed to proudly serve a new generation of Pueblo's residents. They changed their focus back to commercial properties and purchased the historical Coronado Motel.
Yeah, I mean, so, we wouldn't be here, first of all, without our dad and uncle. Like them, they were lifelong Puebloans. They invested in this community. So this has been family from the get-go, and it's extremely important for us to continue to see Pueblo move forward. So, I mean, the history of the Coronado Motel is interesting. First of all, it's a historic property. It was built in the 1940s. Locally, people know it because it had a small role in the film National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase.
Everything on this safari has cost twice as much as you figured out.
We can always cash a check down the road. Don't you trust me?
But historically, we're kind of recognized every year because it was part of the Green Book, which was a guide for African-American travelers during segregation as a safe haven, basically. Why we were particularly interested in it was, first of all, the architecture, but how well it's been maintained. I mean, this building's almost 100 years old, and if you go inside and look at the Viga ceilings today, it looks like they were built yesterday. When we first bought it, it was painted gray. It didn't really feel like an adobe structure. We had to order custom windows. We actually sourced Saltillo tiles to make it look more authentic. We got backsplash that was actually found down in New Mexico. Once upon a time, Pueblo was going to be the capital of the entire state. We feel like, the real charm of the community is in these historic properties. And I think ultimately is what's going to draw more people to live in our city.
I'm George Koncilja, and we are at historic St. Patrick's Church. St. Patrick's is a particularly unique property here in Pueblo. It's actually the first Catholic church located here within the city limits, so it holds a special designation there. It also served as the first Catholic school here in Pueblo, and there's just tons of memories and stories that have been told throughout these walls. Sadly, it had sat vacant for almost 20 years after the diocese had decided no longer hold churches here. Until we took over, it really hadn't seen much life in it. So it's a special place for Puebloans. There's a lot of cherished memories that have happened here, and we're just happy to be the stewards of it now and be able to open it up so the public can enjoy it. I think that no matter what, historic and modern can blend together seamlessly. On top of that, Woven Care specifically, their whole being is around service and providing service to the community. That's what Woven Care is doing now today. And I think it's just really special that they're able to continue some form of the mission that was started many, many years ago, seeing people's reactions to places that they remember fondly, thought that maybe they had gone away forever, being able to come back and enjoy it and reminisce on those times. It's what makes this all worth it for me. We're gluttons for punishment. You might have heard that from one of my other brothers, but I just have to give all the credit to my father and my uncle. They were really on the forefront of seeing value in these old brick buildings when the majority of people would have preferred to tear down and build new. And it always led back to Pueblo and what my family had kind of instilled, that there's value in these old properties, and frankly, they're just cooler than what we can build today.
Yeah, I mean, we've really been lucky that, Joseph, George, Bobby, and Teddy have inherited a love of historic buildings.
214 North Main Street property was built in 1889. It has an interesting history of being a brothel in its past life. A ton of commercial spaces have been in this. It survived a flood in 1921, and historically the second story has been abandoned for the last 100 years.
When we first bought this building, we realized the potential. Walking upstairs was totally dilapidated.
When we first came up to the second story of this property, every window was cinder blocked in. The last use that it had was old brothel. There were still ledgers on the doors of the previous rates of the rooms and everything. So it's just interesting to see how something could just sit here for so long untouched and unused and live its new life.
The layout really went to apartment living.
My brother and I, one friend, personally built all this wainscoting. We handpicked and curated, solid brass door handles and the light fixtures, and try to keep to the era of when it was built and appreciate it into a modern living space.
Opening up those 40 windows that were cinder blocked in for, 4 decades, and able to put arched windows in there just brought life back to downtown.
What's great about the Konciljas is they actually work. And so these guys, I call it the fief. They were the fiefdom of Union Avenue. Everything that had something in it was owned by the Konciljas, and everything north, there weren't any Konciljas up here. And what's great about them is they roll up their sleeves, and they're out here working all the time. And I've never had landlords who have worked so hard to make things so much better than they were.
How much cooler is it than living above a coffee shop? Being able to walk downstairs, get a cup of coffee, see the people in the morning. It's a real special area to live in, and it's important that we bring more residential to any downtown area. So we're happy to say that we got a couple more people living down here.
It's just cool, it's kind of a little community down here now, and it's awesome to see that people appreciate your work.
It's our job to help out any way we can, and we're fortunate and humbled by the experience to take on projects like this. And, we're proud to be Puebloans. We're born and raised here. Our family was born and raised here. We've never left. We've been here our entire lives, and it's just special to us. And, we're proud.
It's pretty awesome how This home sat abandoned for 30 years, and now, historically, for the last 3 years, we've had over 2,000 pedestrians come and enjoy this property, stay here, be able to see Pueblo in a different light. This home, was built in an age where Pueblo was just really a stepchild in the state. Governor James Orman was a very prominent figure in Pueblo's history. He started building all the infrastructure throughout the state, whether it be railroads, dams, bridges. He did the water line throughout the Royal Gorge. He's one of Colorado's first governors. He's also a mayor for a short time in Pueblo itself. The mansion was built in 1883. Another governor lived here along with his family, which had his sons as U.S. senators. I think one of the main things about the mansion that makes it special is the architecture. And it was built by a very famous architect out of Denver named William Lang, very famous for his role in a lot of prominent historical properties in Denver. The one big key that makes the home so magnificent is the masonry outside. The sculptures and carvings on the exterior of the home are absolutely incredible and still in very good condition, and we're excited to kind of highlight those. Keeping the heritage for the mansion is hard. We have worked with local historians. We've worked with the Historical Society, the Pueblo Library, as well as the Denver Historical Museum to try and find archives to help us indicate what was in this home, to bring back and stay as true to nature what the home was built as back in the day. We've actually been connected with the Orman family, the descendants of the governor himself, who's given us a lot of articles and photos to help us to bring back this home to what it originally was. Everyone knows about the home, everyone wants to be in the home, and I think the public appreciates the opportunity to actually step foot in the home. So we're very proud to allow everyone in Pueblo an opportunity to come in the home and appreciate it. I sometimes say it's more like a museum than it is anything else. And the fact that people are able to have events and bring their families into this property is something very special and we're proud of. It's just the legacy that shows Pueblo what it is. It shows that we were part of the golden age. We weren't a stepping stone for the state, that we were pioneers. And something like this indicates how large scale the community used to be and how we want to be in the future.
Oh yeah, the Konciljas are true Puebloans. They were born in Bessemer. They've taken this downtown area and just kind of made it their own. Pueblo is certainly a treasure that we all as Puebloans need to value and help in any way we can to help bring it up.
And Bobby and Teddy and George and Joe, and then Joe Sr. and Tallie. These are the best people in Pueblo, and they all work hard and they deserve all the accolades that they get.
He's a very interesting guy, and one thing about our father, when he has an idea, he sees it through.
We're just idea guys. And we love oddities and absurd things. That's how Neon Alley came about.
That was in 2014. And in two years, I had accumulated over 60 signs.
It just grew from there. And, he probably told you, we still have stockpiled maybe another 30 or 40 other signs that are in the process of being restored that we'd like to add.
He didn't do any of this work for any award. He didn't do any of this work for anyone. He did it for Pueblo.
This has been family from the get-go, and it's extremely important for us to continue to see Pueblo move forward.
For anybody, and for anybody that wants to do what I've done, what Jim and I've done, I say go for it. I say go for it. Be realistic. You're not going to do it in a day. It's life's work.
Don't you trust me?
Follow your passion. be creative. Don't follow necessarily the rules. Trust in yourself. Don't borrow too much money. Listen to your mother. That's what I tell them. I don't know anybody who's been as blessed as Jim and I to have practiced law in our hometown for almost 50 years, to have been given the opportunity to buy, renovate, and help create a historic district. It has almost been too good to be true. To have your family follow in your footsteps, doing something to continue to improve the city we love, we are incredibly thankful. The work and financial stress seems to totally disappear and only the good remains. But our efforts have not been singular. The city invested in many ways, not the least of which has been the incredible historic Arkansas River project, which provided us with a beautiful backdrop to complement our efforts. And then there have been the retailers, restaurants, and business owners who put their money, dreams, and hopes into making the community better. And finally, there are our loyal clients who I hope understand that when they walk down the Neon Alley, attend an event at the Depot, or sit outside the B Street Cafe, that these have been their projects as well as ours. So on behalf of Jim, Tallie, Joe Jr., George, Bobby, Teddy, and myself, our heartfelt thanks. And believe what my son Bobby always tells me, the best of Pueblo is yet to come.